All right, it's Pops, and I'm just going to go ahead and go live tonight, run through some different stories and thoughts that are on my mind, and then we'll get back. We'll grab some clips and those kinds of things. For those of you that are catching things sort of after the fact, you can definitely get some shorter versions of these things. I appreciate your time in joining me. We'll talk about some different things, some of the different Marvel stories that are going on. I'll probably talk a little comic book stuff. I got a box back from CGC over here, so maybe we'll just kind of pop those up and share with you some of those kinds of things. Uh, so up on the screen, I've got it there. The new Spider-Man No Way Home trailer. We might go ahead and bounce around, pop on a couple thoughts in that, which is you know, Spider-Man No Way Home / Doctor Strange trailer. There's very little else that's really presented of any substance other than just teasing all of the characters from other Spider-Man films, which the villains are definitely, I think, got most people more intrigued than they do about the film itself, which is a crying shame. And then, as always, I've got to bash the media because they just do an absolutely horrendously awful job. It's just pretty awful, and that's where we are right now. So, let me hop right over here to the comic book cam. All right, sorry about that. Comic book cam's back off. All right, so let me get to my first story. Let's see. Lots of things to talk about. That's for sure. Always lots of things to talk about. So, one of the first things I want to get to is just the uh, sheer desperation for content. This is a little bit of an older story. This is called Marvel, the five best characters created for the MCU and the five worst. So here we have a couple photos and run down this story. And I want to point out that it's written by a Brandon Tingley. And Brandon is known to basically be a writer in Colorado. He's a college student, writes as freelance for the CBR and lists and rankings and such. That's pretty much all he has listed in his writing credentials on the site. And this is his list, and it is pretty much infuriating. And let's talk about sort of the male feminist type thing that is going on now is definitely a new thing that has exploded, and it's like the cool thing for nerds to do is to embrace the incredible third wave feminism and woke elements in just about everything. So this is his list. Best, Darcy Lewis. That's right, Darcy Lewis, who you barely know, who started off back in Thor: The Dark World, and definitely showed up in WandaVision, and she was all right. So it says first appearing in 2011 Thor, and then Darcy acted as comic relief, which is pretty much what she is there for, offering some misplaced quips in an otherwise sincere superhero drama. No, I'm not sure I agree with that. She wasn't. She was hardly any problem and distraction to Marvel at that point. Dark World wasn't much better either. Actually, Dark World was significantly worse. The villain and some of the other elements were definitely worse. It was still entertaining at the time, but definitely does not hold up well. Quote, it seems that Darcy was doomed to obscurity up until she got the excellent supporting role in WandaVision. I would not say it's excellent, but I would say that she was definitely a decent point in WandaVision. Consultant for Sword, and can benefit in MCU could benefit from more Darcy. I'm fair to say we'll probably see more Darcy, but he's so excited about seeing Darcy Lewis. The worst, of course, is Lorraine, the tired stereotype. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Did you even know that character? That was the character's name from Captain America: First Avenger. That's how far we're going to stretch, folks. We got to make sure we point out the sexism from the First Avengers. Natalie Dormer's Lorraine deserves the dubious credit of being the franchise's worst original characters. This isn't the fault of the acclaimed actress, who dazzled in shows like Game of Thrones. In fact, Dormer's talent is part of what makes Private Lorraine such a waste. Rather than add another strong female character to the film, she's a seductress who only exists to make Peggy Carter jealous. It's an insult to both characters, and we hope that Dormer gets another shot in the world of superheroes. Um, or, or she is a temptation for Steve Rogers to illustrate how devoted to Peggy Carter he is. And he, despite all of the moves by Lorraine to get the hunk of a man, Steve, now Captain America, he is faithful to Peggy. So even the purpose of Lorraine appears to fall on deaf ears to these folks. Then we get just an absolute, just a horrendous addition to the list. But again, this person's obsessed with the WandaVision and Captain Marvel universe here, the feminist nonsense. Monica Rambeau. This is a great adaptation of an underrated character. This is not a great adaptation. Monica Rambeau, for any of you that don't know, she is way more significant as a Captain Marvel than Carol Danvers, right? She actually led the Avengers, or at least was a high-profile character in the Avengers, definitely in the era, kind of my second wave of comic book reading. Fantastic character, strong black female lead, and not a fangirl of Carol Danvers as she was made. Quote, Carol Danvers' best friend. All right, sure. Single mother, Maria was a great addition. All right, sure. But the fact that we reduce Monica as some sort of like wide-eyed little girl looking up to Carol Danvers, the space Karen, as Gary Beekler adequately called her. WandaVision revealed that Maria had passed away in the time since her debut. I actually liked that part. That was actually one of the few positive elements in the early twist to the 5-year blip, which I'm not a big fan of. Well, it seems that Maria's fate is fated to have only one appearance. She made that count. So this is more of a tribute to Maria Rambeau and not Monica Rambeau, my correction. And again, completely irrelevant. Nobody cares. Like, it's not her being a co-pilot alongside Carol Danvers didn't really add anything to Captain Marvel's film's a freaking mess. The fact that it gives birth to Monica Rambeau and the horrible adaptation of her, I just can't believe it. So anyway, let's bash some more. Oh, anybody want to take a guess at what we're gonna go with here? Right. So if you don't know, obviously the Doctor Strange film introduced the Ancient One, and the Ancient One, of course, is a male Asian man training Doctor Strange in the mystic arts, but we can't have that. So we went to a gender swap and we had a female Ancient One, which now is offensive because it's a white woman and not an Asian woman. But that was not the point. It's boring and offensive. Well, boring because the Ancient One is boring, and offensive because, 2021 standards being applied. So, all right. Like any piece of art, some elements of the Marvel Cinematic Universe have aged pretty badly. It's rare, however, that one of these things was actually intended to be progressive. It is not rare. It is very, very common. The Ancient One is loosely based. Oh, geez, please. If you're going to start getting into the semantics of how the MCU treats their comic book universe, we're never going to get anywhere, because let me tell you what, it is an absolute mess most of the time. So let's just stop splitting hairs there. Rather than retaining this strong Asian character, the film gave us a boring Celtic mystic. Not even a competent performance from a talented Tilda Swinton. I agree with that part. Could save this questionably problematic and utterly forgettable teacher. First off, I don't understand the point of the article. Why are we randomly choosing these characters like this? Like this, obviously, this is a very significant character in the Doctor Strange mythos, and they gender swapped it, thinking that would be progressive. That's not progressive enough now. So let's move on. I actually agree here, Brandon. That's not a bad reference to the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but it does show your naivete a little bit. Praising Melinda May. Melinda May has a lot of great episodes, especially in the first 3 seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And of course, I think Ming-Na does a great job. Ming-Na does a great job. There's not a lot to say there. Fantastic in that regard. Okay, I don't understand here. Ivan Vanko, the Iron Man 2 was a big disappointment. Okay. I'm not sure what I don't understand what you're trying to go for. This is a horrible character from every aspect, and it doesn't make any sense. Whiplash, It doesn't do the what? I don't even know. Whiplash may be the menacing supervillain in Iron Man 2. No, he's not. Sam Rockwell's Justin Hammer easily stole the spotlight. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't even. This is not even a fair. Number five. It's like this is like the one of the worst of the worst. Even Mickey Rourke was just not into this. It's totally a phone-in kind of situation. So, oh geez. Then I just cringe beyond all cringe. Hope Van Dyne redefined the Wasp, or it didn't, or it was totally the Wasp and Ant Man because he is so much better than Scott Lang. She can do everything. She can do better than everything he can do. So a strict, no nonsense counter to Scott Lang's goofy personality. Hope surpassed many of her fellow MCU love interests by being an equally interesting character. What about Hope is remotely interesting? If anything, part of the problem with Hope is that there's this weird obsession with the parents and the tech, and she's just an action character. There's very little interesting about Hope per se, and it has definitely been just a complete letdown. Wasp is one of the key integral elements of the Avengers that has all been redone because we had to have Black Widow instead. So Brandon has her as one of the best. Don't understand where that's coming from. Okay, we're going to agree, Brandon. Ralph Boner was a waste of potential. Absolutely agree there. This was absolutely the chance for the MCU to ambiguously introduce the multiverse, and that Wanda, in her brainwashing of an entire town, had somehow ripped open a multiverse, made different things, and because of the love and the grief of her brother, pulled in this other version of Quicksilver, even if he didn't even understand who he was or how he had power. They easily could have mysteriously molded all of that into something that we can deal with later on. And instead, we had some sort of stupid penis joke and ruining poor Evan Peters' return as the character. It's absolutely awful. That was absolutely awful. Huge disappointment in WandaVision. So let me see here. It goes on. Phil Coulson, the Avengers. All right. Yeah. I mean, if you had to make a top 20 list, is that even something we bring up in conversation? I mean, it's fine and it's good, but okay. It's a little overdone. And then General Dracoff put us to sleep. Yeah, it's just a Harvey Weinstein. Girls are bad. We got to kill more girls. Like iconic villains is Thanos and Killmonger. Yeah. First off, we can't have a major, powerful villain on any of those levels to go in a Black Widow movie. However, he is, quote, and I agree, he is flat, dull character with an uncreative plan. Well, the idea of pitting Black Widow against an all-powerful misogynist is interesting. No, it's not. Not really. No, it's very cliche by today's standards. It's very predictable, in fact. The film decides to avoid tackling the hard questions. It never really asks hard questions, actually. And it leaves us in the absolute worst of the MCU's original characters. I don't understand why he keeps saying MCU's original characters when he's referring to Whiplash. First of all, he's living, Quicksilver, I guess because he's technically, made into Ralph. Wasp, Hope Van Dyne. I guess because they changed the names. I mean, is that what you're going for here? The Whiplash thing, and then, of course. So this is the garbage that you get. This is what counts as content these days. This is what you get. This garbage nonsense is pretty common. And why, whether you're talking about regular press or pop culture press, this is the kind of stuff that you will get. And it's a shame. It really is a shame that we can't even have decent analysis of the MCU and its characters and the different things that are going on. Let me continue with another theme here. Let's stop this part and let me hop over here and show you. This is a paid for manufactured story. Bum-bum. So in case you wondered what fake news in the arena of pop culture looks like, this would be it. A non-Marvel Chris Hemsworth movie is dominating Disney Plus. And it's the last part of that we'll spend some time with. So hold on one second. I did not pop open my drink from my non-sponsor, but I love so much my Dr. Pepper Zero. All right, so let me get to this garbage article from We Got This Covered. Obviously, it is a paid post. I will show you the links at the bottom. This is the kind of garbage that you'll see. Completely misleading. A non-Marvel Chris Hemsworth movie is dominating Disney Plus. Okay, this movie, this article. First off, here's our first link, Disney Plus link. The Australian actor is more closely associated with the role of Thor Oldenson. Okay, but then it gets to he's also appeared in various other noteworthy projects for the past decade. Well, of course, he's got to work. He's got to pay the bills. Netflix, Extraction. And then, case in point, Bad Times at El Royale, the biggest bomb of 2018. First time I did it, I don't know, financially, I never really looked it up. I actually love the film. I actually liked it a lot. Anyway, Bad Times at Royale follows 6 strangers and an employee at the El Royale, a hotel on the California-Nevada border, blah, 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 secrets and sir. Okay, so this is a suspenseful film, written and directed, I believe, by Drew Goddard. Hemsworth is there playing. This allows the different casts. Critics love the flick, comparing it to a Tarantino or Kubrick film, blah, blah, blah. All right, so again, audiences were not enamored with it. See, $32 million budget. It earned basically $32 million. It's by Fox. Disney owns it now. And then at the end, it says, Bad Times at the El Royale isn't available on Disney Plus. What? Then what does the title have to do with Disney Plus? Oh, let me tell you, folks. Here's why. Because they had to put a hyperlink in. No, that's a tag. Where is your link? Because you didn't do this on purpose. Maybe Flicks Patrol paid you to do this. So there's no connection. Bad Times at the El Royale is not appropriate for Disney Plus. This is a hardcore movie. There's no reason to believe that it would be on Disney Plus now or anytime. That's just, yeah, that makes no sense whatsoever. Bogus headline, completely betrayed. This links to Flix Patrol, which is basically just an IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes aggregator of what people think of the movie. The movie actually gets fair ratings. It's a 7.4 out of 10 on IMDb, 75% Rotten Tomatoes. It's a moderately positive film. Definitely deserves even the harsh language that this person I put this up is. This person that put this up is Christian Bone. Let's take a look at Christian Bone's work and see if we have anything there of interest. Christian Bone. Christian Bone is writing Homecoming Connection spotted in the trailer. Well, yeah, okay. That's not even spotted. It's like it's spelled out in the trailer. Like we'll get to that. That's Master of Obvious. All right, and it's just every villain teased, blah, blah, blah. What if episode 3 confirmed Nick Fury and Black Widow's story, and episode 3 what if, those kind of things. So I don't know. There's different content. Doesn't appear to be nearly as manufactured and fake as this story is. So I'm not quite sure where the paid post is, but no idea what kind of weird clickbaity nonsense this is that they felt the need to put Disney Plus in the headline. Makes no sense whatsoever. It's absolute trash because that is not a film that will ever be on Disney Plus. That is not a family-friendly film, even if it is a good film, which I do think is worth watching. It is not a bad film at all. So that's that. It's just so frustrating, folks, that we have to have so much garbage content saturating the market, preventing you from finding things that you might actually enjoy. When you have garbage writers and garbage articles going up, that basically, fill space. So, yeah, I tried to do this tonight and show you a little bit. There's my Spawn 8. I had some of my comic books back from CGC. That's not one, but we definitely might talk some more comic books. Well, we've skirted around it long enough. I guess we need to go ahead and get to this Spider-Man trailer. It's definitely all of the buzz. Everybody's talking about this. And I will say I did enjoy most of it. I think that it was kind of what I expect. It's basically a weird sort of twist and introduction and tie to the multiverse. We're going to have more of that with Doctor Strange 2. The trailer teases, Peter coming to grips with his identity being ripped from him. So that's what we're going to see there. And we're not really going to play the trailer. That was not going to be good. So it's mostly a lot of. So it opens with just typical MJ, Peter. They're just talking, about his identity coming out, and everybody knows now, and living life. And this is the shot again, the master of the obvious person who wrote that other article talking about the ties uh, uh, from the last film. I'm like, yeah, right out of the movie. Like, what are you talking about? So anyway, Peter goes to Doctor Strange and says, "Hey, man, I want all this to go away." And it's just the awkward Marvel humor that it's okay. At this point, like, there's no hope that we're going to get a good Peter Parker out of the MCU at this point because Tom Holland's Spider-Man is so well loved and received as this sort of like nuanced version, but it's not really Peter Parker. Like, his genius has been outsourced now, right? So Tony Stark made him Iron Boy basically by giving him the tech suit. So he's no longer being the creative genius that he is. Everyone seems to know he's Spider-Man, right? So now his girlfriend knows, the aunt knows, his best friend knows. And that was all before Mysterio pulled the big shenanigans to let everybody know, because so that took away most of the comic book lore where he's always trying to juggle his secret identity or fighting crime. So now we're going to try to undo everything. And we have this sort of weird setup. And I'm not quite sure I understand why they're going through this setup where I want everybody to forget, or I want Mysterio's outing my identity to not have happened. But the way it's being presented is with a casual warning from Wong, who steps through a portal. And then they come down here and you see the spell being sort of constructed. But then you start to see all this weird back and forth banter stuff about, what do you mean no one will know? It's like, well, what about my girlfriend? What about my aunt? What about my best friend? It's like, what? That's how the spell works. Okay, first off, none of this makes any sense. And I got to be honest, Benedict Cumberbatch is probably working on another film when they film this scene or something, because he doesn't look like Doctor Strange quite here. Like, it's definitely a step down from his solo film. And I mean the makeup and the look of his hair and those kinds of things. So it's just weird how they have constructed the spell and what the premise of this is and what all the motivation is. I think that the point is the moment that we do this and we say nobody knows, that kind of changes pretty much everything in the previous films, does it not? I mean, like, so we're not going to have Ned know, who's known since the beginning, like, the first film, his role in Endgame and all these different elements were key where Ned knew everything. Ned creates a distraction on the bus so Peter can join the battle for Infinity War. The aunt finding out sets up some different things, and now MJ knows. So we're going to take all this away. It does set up the concept of we're going to create another timeline, but then again, we've made such a muddle mess of the MCU. I'm not even sure what they're really going for here. Now, let me try to get a little further. And again, I'm going to just try to show you just almost like screen pauses. I'm not trying to, I'm not really interested in playing sequences. You can watch this for yourself. And there's different shots of the Spider-Man costumes. So we're going to see there's a black stealth costume, not a Venom costume, for those of you who see the black suit scene. Then, of course, you have the regular suits, and you have an iron suit. And then you have Iron Spider here. And then, yeah, this is Strange punching him out of his self, the aura. That's similar thing. We saw this with the Ancient One and the Hulk, Bruce Banner, in Endgame, in Infinity War. No, it was an Endgame, right? No, it was in Infinity War. And then Doctor Strange, of course, had that scene as well. I want to get to the shot. This was the shot for me. Like, oh, we got Green Goblin, man. We got to have Tear in the universe. We've already seen. So the rumors are, so we have Andrew Garfield and we have Tobey Maguire. So we have Spider-Man's from the other films sort of sucked into this little hole of the universe. And here you have a little tease of Green Goblin, played by William Dafoe. So that was pretty cool. And I think that you have the shot before we get, there's some crackle for the Jamie Foxx. And then, of course, we have the tentacles come out. And then, of course, we get to see Alfred Molina's Dr. Octopus. And, of course, this is just what everybody's excited about. Now, it may make no sense, and it may require some serious storytelling and exposition for us to understand. He basically battles the AI that overtakes him, and then he kind of it leads to his destruction at the end of Spider-Man 2. Here he is showing up like, hey, I'm here. He's an awful smart guy to just be taking all this in. So, look, it bodes for solo. Like this is how Marvel's operating. Is it bodes for something interesting, but it doesn't necessarily set up something that's good or makes sense. And anytime we start dealing with time travel and multiple universes and that kind of thing, even in comic books, it just doesn't always pan out and make a lot of sense. And of course, it just sets up the Iron Spider shot, and then we have a little title card and the out credits and advertisements. So that's kind of the buzz from everybody right now, is that we have our Spider-Man trailer and everyone's a buzz about that. I think it's a little bit of a kind of a terrible move in some ways by Marvel, maybe kind of killing themselves with their films coming out. So I want to talk about that briefly. I don't know about you. Are you excited about Shang-Chi? I'm not really that excited about Shang-Chi. I have mixed feelings. And what makes it worse is Marvel themselves and how they talk about things. So let me go backwards a little bit with this article that I think kind of says a little bit about how I feel about it. So this is actually almost over a week ago. Kevin Feige talks about Shang-Chi's representation and experiment. And of course, there's controversy because the lead actor, Simu Liu, took aim at CEO Bob Chapek and described the strategy as an experiment where, I'm not a shy guy, blah, blah, blah. First off, I don't know who this guy is. He's talking like he's an A-list Hollywood guy. Just get over yourself, dude. But what's weird here is they are talking about all of this stuff as though it's not somewhat racist. Like, I don't understand how we get away from just basically saying that we have an opportunity to showcase a hero that looks like a huge segment of the globe. Is that what our goal was? The answer is yes. That is exactly what their goal was. Figure out a way to get Asian stuff in the MCU. Now, I want to cut them a little bit of slack because Marvel Comics basically did this. Marvel Comics back in the day tried to buy the rights to make Bruce Lee comic books and put Bruce Lee in comic books, and they couldn't pull it off. So they basically did these backdoor deals, created Shang-Chi, who basically looks exactly like, a second-rate Bruce Lee. And comic books were entertaining. They're martial art comic books. If you were into that kind of thing, they'd be for you. All right, so this is Kevin Feige. This is at the premiere. We have an opportunity to showcase a hero that looks like a huge segment of the globe, that feels like they haven't been showcased. The magic can happen if you deliver. I think Destin Dan Cretton, and Simu have delivered for this movie. First off, what kind of weird bubble are these people living in where they act like the Asian community aren't seeing Asian films, or like martial arts are new? It sounds very tone deaf and without self-awareness. I'm not trying to pan the whole film because of all this, but you have to know that the problem is that we don't live in this bubble. All this stuff just kind of comes along with it, and it gets a little frustrating. He's just praising the actor, and then the press is just all over themselves, calling about the barrier-breaking film for Marvel. Like, it's such a big deal. It's more of a big deal that it has Asian themes and elements and martial arts and all of that in it than it does be a good film. There's just no doubt, in my opinion. I think they care more about that than they care about making something that I want to see. All right, so let me get to this review because, yep, they deliver exactly what we said they would deliver. It's just crazy. Representation, as Gary Beekler and others have said, that matters. You see, it's more about them being Asian than it is about being good. Like, that's, I don't know. So the film, basically, it's getting a lot of praise by a lot of folks, but they don't get into interesting elements of the film. The best review so far that I've heard anything about was Jeremy Johns did a review. Basically, it sounds like Black Widow, right? The first third is entertaining and interesting, or has elements that are interesting or entertaining. The middle is like really slow to the point where it's a crawl. Probably should be trimmed down. You're going to get tired and possibly bored. And the third act is typical MCU, over the top, special visual effects teams take over, and it becomes chaotic. We blow up a whole bunch of stuff, and then we go home. We pat ourselves on the back because we used to make $1 billion a movie, and now they will not. Okay, so them making comparisons to Woo and all these different things, Jackie Chan films and those kinds of things. It says this pays off in volume as we have incredibly exciting fight scenes. Okay, we'll see. We get a little bit of the backstory here. The scaffolding fight scene that feels inspired by Rush Hour 2. And they're saying it's the best fight scene since Winter Soldier. And then it transitions to different performances. Aquafina providing some charm, those kinds of things. Every beat of an origin story final act can slip into the classic Marvel territory, which is code word for special effects, blow crap up, don't make a sense of anything, don't worry about it. It's just two armies running towards each other. And visual effects teams are incredible. So the final 30 minutes are heavily utilizes CGI. We're disappointed for those looking for a more grounded battle. Just like every other really good martial arts film, we'll use CGI instead, right? The film has it's very rich in deep mythology, long scenes where characters explain the lore. So a lot of talky, a lot of exposition, deep mythology that we'll talk about. We'll explain a whole bunch of stuff to you instead of just show you and entertain you. So that is your middle of the movie. And these films can hold the film back a little, which is code word for go to the bathroom, take a break. And there's a few too many stories because it's going to be too much talky, too much exposition. And let's see. Okay, and then the movie spends a lot of time. Let's see. Oh, too many stories, which the movie spends a lot of time on that don't feel integral to the main story surrounding Shang-Chi. So in other words, there's going to be this whole middle of the film. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. We're going to explain a whole bunch of stuff to you. Get wordy, talky. You can go to the bathroom. A lot of the stuff they're going to talk about, they don't even pay off in the film, the third act. And we don't necessarily even care that much about. But it is, are you ready? A remarkable achievement because of representation. Yep. It really doesn't matter about Benedict Wong in Doctor Strange because he's not a lead actor. It doesn't really matter about other races. It only matters that we are now we've clicked our box. Marvel has checked its box and said, well, we've done Asian now, so let's go on to something else. Because that's exactly how this reviewer is approaching this film. It's getting bonus points not because it's good, because obviously an MCU formula. It's because it is checking the box. So checking the box is more important than a good film. 8 out of 10. 8. How many MCU films? There's over 20. So how many of them on your list are an 8 or higher? I'm waiting. Just let me know. How many are an 8 or higher? Because I can probably count on one hand how many are an 8 or higher. And it becomes very difficult for me to believe Shang-Chi could achieve that. I'm not sure any of the origin stories are an 8 because an 8 is like such an elite group. 8, 9, 10. Like there's no 10s. Winter Soldier to me is the closest one. I still have to put it in a 9, 9.5 kind of thing, not a 10. But the 8, 9s, it's a pretty rare group. I mean, Black Panther is the most well-received of the group, but there are so many issues with the story they get a pass on because we can't dare criticize that film. And we make these things so racially sensitive that you're not allowed to be objective as a critic. Because you're supposed to give them bonus points, just like this person did. This film is probably more like a Midland. Maybe it's a better than average origin film. It's very formulaic. You can tell by the way it's being described. So it's not that much different than most of the others. So it's probably more like a 6 or a 7. It's probably more like in the middle. It's entertaining. It's MCU. If you like those films, you'll probably like this. But why? Why do we get this? This is what we're getting. We're getting Shang-Chi representation. I love that, by the way. Sorry, Gary Beekler, if you ever listen to anything I ever do, just know that I do it out of respect and love because I do enjoy that. I think it's hysterical that that's part of what they do. So, all right. Any different thoughts here? Let me see if there's any comments. All right. No, we do not. So that gives me a few videos, topics off the to-do list. Let's run down my CGC box, a CGC reveal slash story time, because I don't really do the reveal thing. I just look. I don't care. It's not a surprise. In fact, by knowing what it is, then I can prepare listings. If I'm selling it, I can prepare myself emotionally when I'm getting a score I think is very, very low. So we'll pull these up. I'll tell you a story about them or so. So, all right. So this one is Marvel .1. I got a 9.6. This is the first appearance. Oh, the light in here. Ooh, it's brutal. All right, I got to hit it just right. How about the other side? No, that's just the worst. Ooh, that's brutal. Sorry, folks. You got to find the sweet spot right about in there. All right, so this is the first appearance of Sam Alexander as Nova. So that was a key issue there, 9.6. Not exactly what I would want. And I don't remember. There is one small little stress mark. I have to get the magnifying glass if it broke color or not. If it broke color, it deserves a 9.6. So that is probably what the deal is with that one. That is a book I picked up very, very inexpensively in just a random shop. Somebody saw it. I was like, oh, that's fine. We'll throw it in the bin. First appearance kind of thing. They will definitely be adding Sam Alexander when they do Nova. Do not expect them to do retro, vintage characters. That is not going to happen. It will be a Sam Alexander if and when they do that. All right, the next one was, a Venom cover. Okay, so this is a Venom cover for those of you that are into all of that. All right, classic Venom attacking Spider-Man. This is Spider-Man 333. And it is cool color. Cool cover. This guy actually had a couple of, I think the other one's probably here in two. These were in a buy two, get one free bin or something. So I probably paid like $5 or $6, probably like 3 for 15 or 20. That's what I got back in the day, or back when I got them, 9.6. Again, got to pull out the magnifying glass. I can see the spine is there's a little bit of the, the edging here and the edging down here where it's not, it's just not perfect. Tough though, not getting that 8. Let's knock one of the other ones out here. It's not very high. This was a 9.4. Man, this book has been around a long time. Okay, I've had this one for a long time. This is Amazing Spider-Man 289. This is Ned Leeds is revealed as Hobgoblin. This is a book from 1987. And let me tell you what, this book, 9.4, yeah, definitely a couple of stress marks that break color. I see 2 in particular. You see a little bit of there's some off center right here where it's not perfectly aligned. This book I have had, man, since the 90s for sure. Been around a long time. Terry Bowman, Craig Minnix of the world. This fella, he's been with us a while. This is a key book. I think that as we get more Spider-Mans, maybe more Ned Leeds, we might see stuff like this. When you're getting graded books, though, you got to tight. But you know what? Even with a couple stress marks on 9.4, he'll do all right. He'll sell on eBay or wherever. So, all right, let me grab another that's out of the bin here. Of the ones that I just got back here recently. It's a Batman book. This is a sweet grade. This is a 638, and you guys have heard me talk and rant about my Batman love. I am a massive Batman collector first and foremost. So this is very, very high profile right now. The Teen Titans HBO Max show Titans has introduced Jason Todd. Jason Todd is now Red Hood. This is him being revealed. So there's different versions of this. And this is that key issue. Red Hood's revealed. So A lot of good stuff in this book, actually. This is Black Mask, Mr. Freeze, Nightwing, Joker. Great stuff. Great stuff. Love it. 9.8. It will sell and probably sell quickly. And again, personal collection stuff. So some of these are probably going to be great. I mean, Batman, that's kind of my thing. So good story, good stuff. And on the Batman note, this is Kelly Puckett's. This is the introduction of Batgirl, which is Cassandra Cain, who was criminally portrayed in the Birds of Prey film. Absolutely awful. 9.4. I remember reading this one, and it has this colored border and stuff that I definitely don't think was ever meant. I probably wasn't pristine when I got it. And I think there's a little spot on the one corner over there, but a cool action shot of Batgirl in action. Cassandra Cain, a character that should get to do well and have a fair chance, but has not really happened much. Birds of Prey, but kind of 9.4, little low. And I am not seeing any like revealing stress marks or any issues with that one. So that was a little more painful. Again, sometimes when you do these gradings, I find, again, maybe I'm just too old. It is pops for a reason. I have to use a magnifying glass to be able to see them. So this is, I've had that book a long time. I've had that book probably since it came out. So, this one I've had since it came out as well. And man, I was shocked this one came back so low. I need to look at this one a lot closer. So this is the Spider-Man 2099. A 9.4 is brutal. Now, I will say this on these. They're extremely tough grades because this cover is like a card stock. This is part of the gimmicks back in the 90s. This came out in 92. So this is the prime of me really collecting. And these, I just sold my Venom. Lethal Protector had a similar thing. They use like a card stock. So if you see them, this edge right here, all these little dings and stuff, you need to get a really good clean and press person who can really help straighten some of that out, make sure it's okay or not. And then you really have to watch, and this is probably the other thing that might be on mine too, have to look is here, this corner and the one right there, but this one especially because people put them in their bags and boards and they'll ding them up and it's white. If you see a lot of white there, 9.8 is gone. You might get a 6 or a 4, but again, the stress marks along here is where the issue is. And then don't forget, turn it over and look along the back too. So listen, 4, keep the price down. So if you don't have a lot of money, you don't want to buy an expensive one, this one becomes affordable. So that's what will happen to that one. A little disappointed, but I've had that book since 1992, almost certainly. If not, I got it. That's a multiple copy. So then I've got a couple X-Men books. One I had ready to be posted, so I don't have it handy. This is the first appearance of Bishop, 282, the classic X-Men. This will sell right away just because this book is so hot. Everybody feels as though when the mutants show up, Bishop's probably one. But you get these other great characters too, right? So it's also first appearance of Malcolm and Randall, right? Yeah, there's a cameo on the last page. Director's edition. It's got a special ad insert. So yeah, I'm real happy to get it back. Shocked by the grade. Again, probably my corner. I've had this book. It came out in 91. Don't know that I had this exact one because I've had multiples of these. These Bishop books, there's times when you could get them raw for $5 to $8. It's like criminal. The character was ignored for so long. I think Bishop, what they need to do is they need to find that balance of X-Men meets Punisher for Bishop to make him more raw and gritty in the X-Men universe. But if the MCU is going to do with him, they're not going to do that. I don't know why I would even say that out loud. Don't even know why I would say it out loud. Now we're going to go way, way back. So I've said I was collecting comic books as a kid, or read comic books. I just say I collected. Collecting when you're a kid, that's not really a thing. But I was a huge Avengers reader. 181 was just such a big deal. So when I got back into comic books, started collecting for real, went back to my childhood issues, got all these Avengers issues, had these massive runs of Avengers. This is in that run. These are not these are these issues. My Avengers run in this era are some that you probably wouldn't even want to grade. If I was advising you on your collection, I might not even tell you to grade these based on the quality, but I can live with the fact that I'll get a lower grade because of what they are, right? So I've had this book since 89 to 92 in whatever. So it may not have been this exact one, but I've replaced it, whatever. So this came back at 8.5, and there's not going to be any surprise. This is the first appearance, the first cameo of Taskmaster. So I have the first appearance. It's actually already listed on eBay. It comes right after this is 196. This one actually has like a little date stamp right here, which I think is weird that they gig me on that, because a lot of times that's considered part of the whole publishing and distribution thing. But it popped up. It is a newsstand version. I love the newsstand versions because that's what I read as a kid. So I could always get these cheaper in stores at the time. So I got to be honest, I was buying probably for like $1, maybe $2 an issue, just to get whole runs of things. And then over time, I would keep upgrading to better and better copies, from the one I read. This one's got less stress marks, whatever. So this is where I left off. And yeah, it's just not great, but it's not bad. An 8.5 is not horrible. An 8.5 is very fine, very fine. So I'm very happy with this. And it's like it says off-white to white. I mean, it's been around since 1980. That book when I was a kid, man. These books, they're good stuff, man. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Ant-Man and the Wasp taking down some foes. Taking down some foes. We got 2 left to show you. And let's do this one next. 1 left. Oh, this is my other Venom one I was telling you about. So showed you 333. Here's 332. Same purchase, same deal. Had these books for years. Always buying and flipping them anytime I would see them. Again, $5, $6, $8. You could find now. Again, Venom movies, Spider-Man movies, and all of that have probably changed all that. But these are beautiful, beautiful comic books to have displayed or having a collection and just like covers. That's super awesome, man. I don't care what anybody says. That's just so cool. I love these, man. These are so good. I love this era. Newsstand version. Again, just I could buy it. You can get them so much cheaper. And I'm not sure you can now because everybody realized a newsstand version in a high grade is pretty rare. This came back in 92. But Michelini is he always does just great Venom work. This one has a Larson cover. I have mixed feelings on Larson. I'm not as big a fan as other people are. But yeah, good stuff. And by the way, this is also like an this also has one of those weird celebrity cameos. This one actually has a Jay Leno cameo in it. It says on the label. I actually was watching, because when you go to CGC, you can check it and it can show you your details and the census and stuff, and you can make sure that it has it. Because I've actually, at this point, I'm ready to do quality control for CGC and raise their standards. There's a lot of stuff that does not make the label on your books. So the last one I think is kind of a sleeper, and I threw in because I just knew of the story, and it didn't really have. It's not on the label because it lists all the different characters that appear. And it's the first Vertigo book, but that's not why I sent this in. This is a Sandman 47. Came back as an 8. Beautiful book. Really cool art. Neil Gaiman's work is fantastic. And I tell you what, McKean's covers are great. Anyway, this is the first appearance of Daniel Hall as Dream. Like, he takes over in this book. Like, this is a key Daniel Hall issue. But that's not on the label, and it's like one of those things that I'm not sure everybody knows. So I think I've gotten like a sleeper thing here with this one. But look for your own copies, man. There's tons of Sandman sort of mythos. I know I got picked up for the Netflix show. I have mixed feelings about that. That is a video for another day, because let me tell you why I ran about Sandman, because I read all of the Sandman. I've had them all. Bought them all, sold them all, bought them again, sold them again. So I have some left, and they will probably mostly get graded because they were probably all high grades. And again, most of my like collection stuff aren't going to come back at less than a 9.2. So email me if you have questions. I mean, I'm more happy to. That's that bjonespops@gmail.com. bjonespops@gmail.com. Answer questions that you have, give you some guidance. your comic book collection or other collecting questions that you might have, or topics to talk about. So anyway, that's a little CGC receipt reveal and some different things. I did definitely think about doing a video about collecting and how I got into it and those kinds of things, because some of you asked me more about that, how it ties to my thoughts on some of these movies and how I feel about them all. So I am a little passionate, to say the least. So anyway, thanks for your time and I appreciate it very much. Throw this out there and hopefully get some clips up for you guys soon.